Yeah,
This is time to reconnect.
it is time to reconnect. You're not just brains on a stick, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, like brains are wonderful, but they're not very good masters. As in some ways we could say, right? Oh, you've got the monkey brain, the lizard brain. It's like how many brains,
Yeah.
are going on in here. You got ego, super ego, id, like conscious, unconscious. Like, one of the good ways that I found for us to connect more deeply to our bodies and all of that is to not just think of everything up here.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Otto Gomes Show. This episode is a little bit different just because it was done on Instagram Live, and I wanted to share this on a podcast episode as an interview because I think it's so important. What's currently happening in Lahaina, in Maui, Hawaii right now is a very tense, confusing, chaotic, desperate situation, and it's very near and dear to my heart because of the amount of times I've spent there, the people that I know there, the family. I truly believe in my heart to be close family friends, and it is very sad. Even students of ours have been affected by this directly, which we're now just trying to support in any way possible. So this episode is very special to me. Please listen to it. Make sure you take it all in and try to have some sort of action, whether it's calling someone or sending a message to the Instagram accounts of the people that are there, or financially, if you can support it with resources financially or food or water or anything that you can do. I think this is a very important topic, and we need to really help and support directly if we can. All right. I love you guys, and let's get into this.
No worries. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen you without your hair.
Yeah. Fresh cut back in like January.
Yeah, you're looking like a true colonialist.
Yeah, I'm in office. I have office meetings every day now. Yeah, no time.
Got to put the suit and tie on,
Yeah, no time to be in the jungle anymore.
So first off, thank you, brother, for joining in and being on this live.
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to talk about what's going on and get not only more clarity and more truth about what's going on on the ground, but also, reach out put a call out for support for what's actually happening, and so we can have a direct support there. So if you want to just start off, what happened and why are we here and what's going on?
Yeah, brother, it's a sad day, The fires are going on August 8th, and there's lots of articles that could share the timeline, but essentially what's been shared is that 80-mile-per-hour winds, falling down power lines. You got the fuel from dry grass, the ignition from the power lines, and then just arid, dry land. And apparently they were putting out fires from the morning, had given that the fire had contained. That was like the message that was sent out. So people became relaxed and the fire started up again. And then there was no emergency sound or signal that had gone. And the fire swept pretty much from, early afternoon around 1 p.m. or so. In about 6-7 hours, the entire Lahaina was consumed all the way from Puamana to Waikuli. So talking about it makes you pretty sad. Like just how quickly everything happened. So that's kind of where we're at.
What's the level of destruction there right now? Like, are just the homes are all completely gone, and how many people do you think have been displaced?
Yeah, so just got this information earlier this morning. The governor, Josh Green, had put up a whiteboard, and he said that there is 2,200 structures that have been burned, destroyed, and 86% of them were residency. And so, Lahaina town is approximately like 12,000 people, but they're saying like what was the number, like 2,000 have been displaced or something like that.
86%. So if there's 12, I mean, that's way more. That's the numbers are way higher than what they've been saying then.
Yeah. I mean, apparently they've got like, they've searched about 45% of Lahaina since yesterday. And they've got, I think, 950 people in the hotel rooms right now, 500 in Airbnb. But I'm saying it's approximately like 2,000 displaced people or more. Yeah.
What's the emotions around the locals with the authorities and like bringing support? Because I've heard so many things. I've heard that they're not helping, and not only that, but they're blocking help. Is that
Yeah.
true, or is that?
So on the ground, there's been a lot of that happening, especially on the west side. I haven't been in touch with all of that. I've gotten word because I have a lot of friends that have been out there working, but apparently the biggest thing that I would say is this is all grassroots community volunteer work that has saved the day. No government agencies have come. It's just been everybody within the community helping each other and finding ways to get whatever they can, resources to each other, no matter what mode of transportation, whether it's like from people getting up on their paddle boards or jet skis or boats, or even planes flying in, and different convoys are coming through. So it's all been community efforts. FEMA and Red Cross and them didn't come till way later. And even when they did come, there was nothing for them to do other than take over and sit and make claims that they organized. It was all done by community effort. And that was all everything that our, people out here in our community, that's what we did. We even have, people from different islands that had come in to help out, but most importantly, it was all Maui effort with everybody involved as best they can. Even now when I go to the west side to go check out on everybody, you go Hono Kauai, all grassroots, Lahaina, all grassroots, you go up Napili, all grassroots. There's a lot of different organizations, nonprofits that have come. The churches have been super helpful too, taking in people. And when I've gone out to go up to Pukalani, and they have a community center there, I talked to like some of the FEMA representatives and the Red Cross people over there and different places. I go, they're not from here. One guy is a superintendent or supervisor for Red Cross. He's from North Carolina. They didn't really speak English very well. It was wild to me that somehow they're supposed to provide help. They brought nothing. And everything that I've communicated with like Maui Rapid Response, we got like Hungry Heroes Hawaii, we got a bunch of different people. We got our cultural leaders involved, all different halau. So these cultural schools in Kumu providing spiritual health, mental health. So yeah, bro, it's just all us out here. And even when they come around, it's been a fumble, mismanagement all the way, big time. And people lost their lives, bro.
Man, I spent a lot of time in Hawaii, especially Maui.
Yeah.
And I think I've been there probably over 10 times. And I've never felt accepted or connected to a group of individuals as I have in those that live in Maui.
Yeah.
It really is like the heart of the world and how you guys work with each other. What's the feelings with the locals right now? How are they feeling, 10 days later? What's the emotions?
Everyone's hitting the grief now very strongly, mourning. The realization and the shock is coming through because the initial reaction is like, help, organize, get everything we can, get everyone involved, do our best to help our families, our relatives, our friends.
It's like the shock. There was such a shock that it was driving the actions, and now it's a little bit of a settle.
Kind of. It's still very unsettled. There's still, people still need a lot of assistance, a lot of help, and there's still monies coming in, and they're trying to find ways to distribute it effectively. And there's also like Lahaina Venmo on IG, where you can directly donate to families. But the bigger issue right now is the mental health that's happening. We were just out yesterday, with the people, and just some of the reports back from some of the alaka'i out there, some of the leaders that are helping is just, drug use, somebody already overdosed on fentanyl out there, heart attacks. People are being crowded into rooms at different condominiums or apartment buildings, and they're not getting services, and so it's really like just volunteer work from registered nurses and doctors and medicinal practitioners, ancestral medicine practitioners that have come and set up camp, to provide like plant medicine and lomi, and then the doctors and nurses. So, IVs and everything like that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. It's a big wave right now hitting our people with trying to cope. And the ways of coping, when you don't have social services accessible, human resources accessible, and things like that, people will turn to drugs and alcohol abuse. And that's kind of what's been happening right now.
What have you noticed with those that have lost homes? Where are they staying? Like, what's going on with housing right now?
So a lot of people have family all over the island. So if they can, they've gotten over there. That's like in Kahului and Waiahu side. There have been openings with hotels and resort. There has been Airbnbs being used. So just from what was given information, is over 500 people have been put into Airbnbs. And then also over 950 into the hotel rooms, and then everyone else spread apart. Some people are in camp, some people are being housed in the churches. So the difficulty is it's all short-term things.
Yeah.
These aren't these, and it's difficult too, because first we got to find land, right? That we can then develop in such a way that there are utilities there, electricity and water, and then getting things like tiny homes built or, temporary dome housing. And then if people would actually want to live in there, like, what are they going to do? There's no jobs, everything burned. So it's the question of like, are these efforts of getting people into, midterm, long-term housing somewhere on the west side or on the east side, is that possible? Is that what's going to happen? I don't know. But there has been a lot of efforts of people wanting to donate money to the causes. And, like even I've heard just different stories of people like Laird Hamilton and other people getting involved and wanting to get these structures built for our people. I just don't know if that's a viable option at this point.
Yeah.
What are people going to do for work and to take care of their family and school and all these things? So
that's what I've heard recently. One of my students actually lived in Lahaina now, but her workplace also went up in fire, and she's in a state of, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like it doesn't know what to do, just standing still.
Right. And so that's the issue right now. So just when I touch base with everybody, when we go travel, a lot of the focus and attention is on the west side, but a lot has happened up in Kula too. People have lost, their homes there. Went out and just like kind of helped our uncle, like take care of some things where he was at, where his house is completely gone. A lot of fallen trees because the wind had hit there. It had taken up like over 2,000 acres have burned, and it was coming down towards Kihei side as well. And so it was very dangerous in the sense that how many neighborhoods out in Kihei would have burned, and if it got caught, like how far would it have gone too. So we're looking at, these efforts going to Kula and then also to Lahaina, and then the water has benzene in it. So with the amount of time that have gone, people are sending all kinds of clothes. We don't need clothes anymore. People are sending all these kinds of things that, should actually be checked first, because what we need out here is like water filtration systems, options for toiletries, women's care, medicines, things like that is what's really in need. So when I think about Kula, it's like they don't have water to drink or even shower with. So it's like getting water up there. This is all, again, grassroots community effort. Yeah. The county just hasn't existed at all. I don't see FEMA bringing any water. I haven't seen any of that. And all these storage containers that are coming are being donated by other states like California, and they're coming in. So I'm just witnessing an entire falling apart that we always knew as a community out here in Maui. We always knew the government isn't here for us, especially as Native Hawaiian people, as indigenous people. We already have a long history of this neocolonialism, and then everything we're seeing is climate profiteering. Like it's massive. These backdoor deals that are happening, land grabs, water theft. It's insane. And people don't even have time to grieve.
Has that been happening already? Like, have investors been coming into Lahaina or the other Kula and trying to buy up the land of those where it was destroyed? Is that already happening?
Yeah. So there's been word put out by different family members that have lost their homes that real estate agencies have actually gone and proposed, deals, like wanting to get those lands. Because so here's one of the larger things about it is the they're going to do an evaluation on the land. They're going to bring the insurance agencies, whatever their agents, to go and do an evaluation on the land. They're going to do an assessment, and they're going to say, okay, this is how much it is. Many of our people here, that lost their homes, not only were Native Hawaiian, but have been people who were transplanted here, a majority of that population. And so they have no interest really in staying here because they're not, obligated culturally or ancestrally. They're not lineal here. So what's going to end up happening is they're just going to sell to get rid of the headache, right, of all the pain of what has happened, and then go move. And then whoever owns that land can sell it 3, 4, 5 times more to even government, because that Lahaina town is considered a historic town, designated historic town. So what they want to do is they're going to create a memorial there.
Oh, that makes sense. Wow.
Similar to what they've done, like with 9/11 and other places, because this is the most deadly, quote unquote, wildfire, as I like to put it. Pretty much in recent American history.
So I know you and Koa, right? You have been raising funds to try to support what's going on there, and I've been pushing your stuff out because I don't trust Red Cross or FEMA or any of those central governments. And so I'm like, I'm gonna give it to these guys because I know them, and they're gonna make sure that it goes directly to them. Yeah. So Koa's a chef. You are so many things.
I'm just another guy walking around.
So how are you guys supporting? What are you guys doing with those funds that you're getting?
Yeah, so Koa's been going out every day to the community college, to the college, and cooking food. So and then what's the other organization that's out there? World Central Kitchen has been really present out here too, and cooking a lot of food. But so Koa's been out. So he'll use the money for to get the food out. Mm-hmm. We've been sitting on these donations because we're looking at helping with either like legal funding for all this stuff that's happening with the land, water theft, like that, to help people with legal funding, and then also water filtration and everything like that. So we're looking at working with different companies. I got a bunch of information too that I could send to people so that they can see, like, when they donate to us, we're going to start directing it towards getting water systems filtration done, and then putting some towards legal battles, whatever needs to happen. So
if you guys want to provide resources and you have money that you can provide, definitely the link, I actually put it on my bio. So if you guys want to go to my bio, just click on the links, and it's going to be the second one. Go ahead and donate. But Kale, if they don't have money, if they don't have the resources to provide it in that way, what's another way that somebody could potentially support? I know you mentioned a lot of the psychological effects that's having on people. So I don't know if there's something there.
I think one of the major things about that as well is, like, if you don't have money, that's fine. I put out on my IG an initiative that was organized by Kumuhula, which are cultural teachers here on Maui, to do prayer at 12 p.m. Hawaii time every day. If that's all you can give, please do that. Learn Hawaiian culture. Understand the spirituality of our people. No need to involve yourself in the teachings of Huna and all of that when we have real live lineage carriers from generations here in Hawaii, and especially on Maui, who are showcasing and wanting to show people and teach people our chants and our knowledge. So if you don't have money, please do that.
I saw that
educate yourself. How was that?
No, I was gonna say, I saw that reel you posted to download, or it was like a QR code.
Yeah.
To take a picture and get the documents, right? Yeah,
so there's a kumuhula out here, Koripuel Pata, who put that together, but he wasn't the only one. There's also other kumuhula like Hokulani Hopadilla and Candy Rachel. So that was very good. But also educate yourself. So one of the things I want to talk about as well is people are like, oh, this is climate change, and they're pushing that, right? They're pushing this, it's because of the climate change issues, and there's a lot that comes with that. That understand mentality, this what you call it, like climate profiteering type thing. And Governor Josh Green, and this is some of the things that have been going around, that he's been out, going to different meetings from January, and there's one coming up that people are claiming about smart city planning. That's not the only thing. It's about ways of adapting, reducing climate change and all this stuff. So he's been like keynote speaker at these things. So when we think about, what are the real issues out here, when it comes to the climate change and what this government's been doing, this and that. And then it's like, oh, conspiracy. I'm not saying those things are wrong. I'm just saying if you educate yourself on the history of Hawaii and what has happened, you have a better understanding of why this fire went the way it did. Because there are companies right now who have been grandfathered in from modern day plantations that stole the water and created everything dry. Out in Lahaina, where the fire had happened, especially down by the harbor, there was a fish ponds there, specifically called Mokuhinia. Okay, and there was a small island that was constructed in that pond called Moku'ula, which has become like a pico, like a center of mana, of energy and power, for our people. But there was 4 fish ponds out there. Okay, Nalehu, Puako, I forget the other names, and then Mokuhinia. So that place of Lahaina was actually a marshland. It was a wetland. So how is this possible? Yeah, that all of this is now dry. How? There's just no more water because of climate change? No, it's because neocolonialism had come in, colonial efforts, colonial settlerism to be exact, came in with their plantations. They took the water so that they could grow their sugar and their pineapple, right? And then not only that, but they filled in with dirt our fish ponds and put a baseball field and parking lots on top.
Wow.
All right. So not only like insult to injury, not only did they steal the water, and we're talking about like A and B Alexander Baldwin and all these other, missionary descendant companies that have come through. They take the water and then they bury our sacred places. Okay. And then when it's no longer profitable with the pineapple and the sugar, they leave the ground fallow and let it go fallow, and then invasive grasses come in. And then they go, okay, we're going to sell it. Okay, we're going to make real estate development. So they're still making money. And then now they're using the stolen water to pump into their McMansions, to their luxury resorts, to their golf courses, to all these things. So this is why this is happening. This is complete land neglect and mismanagement with in-bed government and corporations or outside interests, and within too. So one of the bigger things that's going on is West Maui Land and their subsidiaries with owning water. That's a big issue right now too, and what that's coming up. And then when you look at Kahului, if anybody's ever been to Maui, you look at Kahului and you have Mahi Pono out there, there's just another iteration of old plantation mentality. And they're taking how many millions of gallons of water per day? 45 million of gallons of water per day from East Maui, pumping into Kahului to do this new, crop, diversified crop, so they call it. It just looks like monoculture to me. So this is the bigger issue. So if you don't have money, educate yourself. You know what I mean? On the history of Hawaii and the things that have happened. You know what I mean?
I love that you said this because when you research this topic right now around Maui, there's a lot of confusion in the information, and it's easy to point and go, it's them, it's they,
Totally,
it's lasers, it's this, it's like all these things. It's like, I think it's a bigger blanket. It's an ideology. It's the consumeristic perspective. It's this capitalistic. I have to make profits, and the more we can become aware of those metaphysical layers that you can't put your finger on, it's easier to filter and see before it happens.
Absolutely. So this is one of the things too. Like, I don't know about direct energy weapon. I'm not sure about all of that. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe there is an underground base in Maui that I don't know about that is functioning in a certain way. I do know that we have telescopes in Haleakala that the military is using for tracking and all of that too. So and we've had people go up there to protect our mauna from that use, and they've been arrested. And these are people that we're talking about, like Kale, who's put his life down on the line, and now he's red flagged by federal government. So here's another issue that comes up with all of this too. So, when we look at, all these men, right, that are supposed leaders in our government, where were they during all of this? Where were they? Where was what's his name? Herman Andaya, the head of MEMA, Maui Emergency Management Agency. Mm-hmm. Where was he? Oh, he didn't put up the signal for people to go, and he was in a press conference as to why, and his excuse was that, if I sounded the alarm, people would think it was a tsunami, so they'd go up Mauka. implying that somehow we don't have common sense. That like if he sounded that alarm that people would go towards the fire, like what are you talking about? He just resigned.
I was about to say,
Right?
I think he just resigned yesterday, right?
He just resigned, but did you hear that he was on Oahu on the 8th at a FEMA meeting for disaster preparedness? Like you can't make this up. See, this is what I mean. Like there's things going on that for me, like I'm just like, this is just undeniable how these things are happening. How could this be possible? And like I'm more interested in preserving culture and passing on a spiritual cultural heritage and lineage. That's what my interest is in. So when I look at, okay, you know, getting the land back and preserving indigenous lifeways and rebuilding what we have, it's like it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that when you have these people that we put into leadership going around and doing backroom deals and not taking responsibility for their actions and not claiming responsibility. It's absurd, man. I don't know what to do.
Oh man, it's the long-term effects of all this is definitely a conversation that I believe we need to normalize. Without us talking about this and discussing it, they're going to be talking about it and discussing it, and that to me is the way to manifest.
Yeah.
You know, keep talking about it.
Exactly. That's why I'm grateful for this, man, because I was just like, you know, I've been in the thick of it because I wanted to be informed because, you know, there's a certain level of understanding that I have. You know, when I drive around Maui, you know, my home, you know, I was born in this time. I wasn't born, you know, 200 years ago. But I have that feeling when I drive around, when I look at my mauna and my mountains, and they're just naked. Everything was logged out, you know, and that's a pain that I see and feel because of what was taught to me through my culture. And then I look at the waterways and they're dried up and our people haven't been able to get access to water for generations now. And then people are wondering why. Oh, where's all the Hawaiians? You know, where's all the natives? Oh, we've been priced out and gentrified out of our home for the past 100 years. And nobody's cared. And we've put out our voices, you know, for generations. And it's like, so where are we at? Yes, I want to have these conversations. Yes, I want to talk about them. But I needed to be in the thick of it too to understand like what's actually happening around here.
Yeah.
You know, because I know it from one cultural aspect. And then this fire happens, like other disasters, like this isn't the first time. If you look at examples of what FEMA has done, you know, different places that they've gone because they're part of Homeland Security. I mean, you look at Hurricane Katrina, what happened to those people? You know, they put in the application for money and then what happens? They don't see anything for years, nothing. So a lot of those people still don't even have money. You look at Flint, Michigan, this is how our government behaves. Like, this is like, for me, I'm ashamed, you know, like to even be like, oh, Hawaii is the state. What? How? We're treated like third, fourth rate citizens out here, you know, and everything's going to wealthy people. So I'm not trying to complain. I'm just saying this is the awareness that we all need to have in these conversations.
And I just want to say so people can hear.
We're 10% of the population out here, you know, in Lahaina. You know what I mean? Sorry, what you saying?
No, I was going to say I have, for those listening, I have many personal experiences with Kale, and one thing that you're really amazing at doing is you're really good at bringing me back into my body, like putting me in presence with the land and being, you know, aware of it. And I think that's part of why I've had such a calling in talking about this and you know, bringing support to Hawaii and what's happening there now, because of the awareness that you brought me about it, and like the connection of nature to life and the community of it, and just gave me so much more appreciation to just nature in general. So I want to thank you.
Thank you, Vala. And that's good because it reminds me too of like the purposefulness of, you know, when I think about your feeling of connection when you come here and that gratitude that you have because of the way that I am with these things. You know, I was taught by other people too who showed me how. You know, I was fortunate enough to have a family, you know, that was on Molokai, and I grew up a certain way, and you know, I had a mother who understood, you know, culture in her own understanding. And then I had a lot of teachers, you know, a lot of mentors that, you know, showed me This is what it can look like to have a thing we call ancestral connection. This is what place-based knowledge is. This is what indigenous lifeways are. This is how to understand your history as a person and your place in it. This is what it looks like for you to sing and to chant and to like use your memory, not just rote memory, like use your memory with across timelines to exist in this present moment that you're in this vessel of a body that you have. And how these sensations, the senses that you have, all these things are language and they're speaking to you. And you have relatives that are human, more than human, other than human, non-human, plant, animal, material. And they're always there and they're always watching. So when you have that kind of understanding, you know, it's like people are going to believe in God. You know what I mean? People believe in spirit. You believe in creator. You believe in great mystery. You have to, because there's no other way. So when I look at what's happening now with our people, you know, I'm like, this is the time for us really to unify. And maybe the unification isn't like how we did on the Mauna, you know, cool, kia iman. Maybe because this is such a disaster and many people's lives is lost, that maybe we are more warriors of grieving hearts. Maybe we can see ourselves more in tune with our grief and our loss of these things, not to talk about just resources and conspiracy theories, but what is the engagement now for the human being to be entangled and enchanted again about the severity and the risk of being alive, but also the fragility and the vulnerability and the sensitivity of life. And like, how does that energize us and empower us, you know, to be more present with everything, to fall in love again with our homes, you know, to care for people more. Right? Maybe that's what's being asked of us now. I don't know. You know?
I love that. It's like a paradigm shift away from things are happening to me to things are happening for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like why this is happening for a reason. Why are we here?
Yeah. Why are we here?
How can this make me a better person?
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing, right? No matter where you are in the world, disasters are happening and they're going to happen. War is going on. You know, it's not, I don't believe it's meant to just, you know, fall upon us. And then now we atrophy ourselves because we're so stunned and confounded and inebriated by the immensity and the overwhelm of what this is, and not to be frightened, but to just have courage, you know, even more, especially when we're scared, as an indicator for us to do more, you know, and not more just like, you know, when I go around, you know, I see it's like, there's a lot of white saviors around here. You know what I mean? A whole lot of white saviors, all good intentions. I get it. And it's just like, we got to get this out there. We got to get to the people. We got to do this. We got to help the Hawaiians. We got to do that. And it's like, yeah. And maybe you got to learn about your own indigenosity too. Maybe instead of trying so hard to save the last remnants of a people, because in yourself you're feeling that loss, embrace that loss and see why you too feel that. You came from people that came from places, you know, those places that claim them, and show them how to be human. Yes, we live in a digital world. Yes, we're doing this, you know. Yes, we're spreading this message and getting people engaged and speaking to their hearts. You know, there's a way for us to do that together. You know, it's a new old way, like I always keep saying. Yeah, there's an ancient future kind of way.
Yeah,
there's space for all of it. But what is, like, if you down to affirm life and feed life and give praises to great mystery and all that, then you're on my team. We're on the same team. I'm not concerned if you're like, hey, this is a big government conspiracy and this and that, smart city comment and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. And then what? We got to like get together and collaborate on some stuff and get people some help and really hold it down in a very strong, spiritual and emotionally intelligent way. Like, all right, you're my guy. You're my girl. Let's do that. You know,
it's so funny because what you just said there, you actually did that with me in real life. I remember when I was in Hawaii one time, and I was like excited about sharing like the rabbit holes and like the conspiracy things, like, and you were like, oh, cool. Who cares? and now what?
And now
And I was like, you got me.
Yeah, I was like, hey, man, you know, I love it because it's good. We got it.
Yeah.
Because I need you to tell me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just out here, like, you know, I'm just going to the gym and just living a normal everyday life. And then I go out to events and, you know, help the men. And I'm thinking to myself, what is the point of all this? You know, what am I really doing? Am I actually helping these people? You know, is there bigger things going on? And then I go talk to you and you're like, yeah, this thing is fucking going off over here. And we got to like get onto the crypto. We got to like help each other. Like, that's an option. Okay.
We
Maybe
balance
that's
each
what we
other
need
out.
to do.
You bring me down and I bring you up.
Yeah. Here we
Well,
are.
I mean, like in the spectrum, but yeah.
I was supposed to say thank you for making me laugh and smile, man, because, bro, it's been so heavy. And it's just been, you know, a deeper understanding for me about what happened here in Hawaii, because we're, you know, the most recent inductees into all of this, you know, when it comes to like being invited is as a state invited, they like to say, like we were taken over. We had a whole, you know, nation that was already sovereign and recognized internationally, you know, and then there's these, again, backroom deals back in the 1800s, right? Same thing, profiteering and land grabs, water grabs that happened back then. It's like, here we are now with a natural disaster, natural, whatever it may be. And now it's coming to call again. So it's like the genetic memory in all of us should be awakening, you know, if the things that have happened, you know, just in the States or like in Puerto Rico, Brazil, what's happening in Brazil, you know, like these things should be awakening us to this ancestral memory. This like back to the genetic thing. Like this is a syndrome. This is a form of insanity that is plaguing people. It's not a human condition. We're not cancer on the earth. Okay, that's not what we do. Real human beings know how to be in direct, sacred reciprocity with life around them, so that they can continue to live. That's what I believe. They're wild tenders. They're life tenders.
It's been a weird last few weeks. I've actually done some research to see what kind of fires are happening around the world, and the variable that I've seen that has been the same, it's indigenous areas, like indigenous lands.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this focus with, like, why is this happening? Like in the narrative, you know, I'm just taking in the narrative, and it's like, oh, there's 6 fires in indigenous areas right now around the world.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Right. Entirely. And so, see, that was the thing too. So, I just became aware of that as well when this was going on, because it's like, you know, the climate change and this and that. Well, why is it so targeted?
Yeah, it's very specific. Well, and then that's the thing. It's like, it could be happening everywhere. And why aren't we talking about everywhere? Why are we just talking about, oh, this is an indigenous land?
Yeah.
And it all happened within 2 weeks.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And so that's where, so this is immediately where my mind goes. So when you have a people that are existing as indigenous, as we label them, right? But etymologically, it means just of a place, right? Born of a place. When you have a people that continue to live that way, they become a living memory for those people that live in cities and live, you know, severed and disconnected from nature. They become a living memory of that ancient ancestral memory. And it's like, oh, shoot, like that's who we are. That's who we've been. Not that those people are us. That's who we've been. And that's where we've come from. And they've continued to hold that. So no way, like the people, the powers that be, however, you know, expansionist, imperial minded type of people, lizard people, I don't know, whoever it may be, of course they don't want that to be the thing that continues on. Right. And the same thing with the Lahaina Fires, not wildfires, land mismanagement, complete, you know, government like mishandling and mismanagement, energy weapons. I don't know, but for it to happen in Lahaina in the way that it did, yes, there's something deeply disturbing about all of that. The corruption is unreal. So all these fires happening across the world with indigenous people, it's like we gotta infiltrate and eliminate the living memory so that people don't want to go there again, because there is such a thing as transhumanism, because there is such a thing as like, we don't want to be that anymore. We want to go into the realms of complete robotic android, leave this earth because we're never supposed to be here mentality. That is what I believe is the situation on a large scale. So what do we got to do? Like I said, indigenosity, get back to an understanding of ancestral lifeways. When we think about Lahaina rebuilding, whose vision do we want? Whose vision do we want to rebuild in that? Do we want the native eyes vision of what that is? Or do we want outside influence again? Are we going to make and repeat the same things? This is a fight, but it's not a fight physically. This isn't a fight about going out there and getting arrested and making an example. This is a fight of returning to our spirituality as a global community entirely. Get back to it. You know, if this amount of attention that Lahaina is getting, and then and all the other fires that are on indigenous land, let that be a remembrance for all of you that those are your fires too. That's happening directly in your ancestral lineage. We're all mixed people. We're all hybrid people. I'm not just Hawaiian. I've got European ancestry too. I've got Norwegian and Irish and all of that as well. And I gotta respect my ancestors over there and praise them for who they are. But I just so happen to be born in a place like this. But no one is outside of a cultural receptivity. You know what I mean? Spiritual receptivity and understanding. Right? So that's what I think is what's necessary right now with all the things that are going on. Tap back into the indigenosity. Don't just lay claim to ancestry. Work towards it. What does it mean to be on the land? Do you know how to make plant medicines? Do you know how to take care of yourself? Can you make a fire with your own hands? Can you track stuff in the stars? You know, I can go on all day. I'm probably going to go on a rant right now. You know, there's like people who call themselves shamans. How's that possible? You don't even know how to ride a horse. Like you don't even know how to take care of an animal. Like how many like tail feathers are on a predatory bird? I can go on all day. Do you know how to make quarters with your hands? Like how do we do that? I think we're skipping a lot of steps. Yeah. I think we just need to get back to being good human beings.
I would say that the indigenous is a representation of the global spirit, and they're trying to cut us off from our spirit, it's spiritual warfare. Yes. And so we have to start with ourselves. Like you have to re-educate, reconnect with the spirit in your body.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Okay, so this brings me to the next thing. So with what's happening now with Lahaina, and similar to what we're saying, like ground zero, right? Ground zero with 9/11 and making it into a memorial. If they do establish that in Lahaina to create a memorial, we need to be sure that it's our cultural leaders and our lineage carriers that are steering that vision, because the government's not going to stop. And we still need to take care of Mokuhinia and Moku'ula, our sacred sites out there in Lahaina where the burn had happened. So if the situation says, okay, we got to get everybody to stay on top of that land, right? And to keep their homeland in whatever way possible. I don't know, the people are talking about enlisting some celebrity to like donate to an organization to then buy up all that land. Because then what will happen is the government will want to buy that from the people to make the memorial. You see? So then the cost of benefit analysis, right? So, okay, it costs this much for this land that has been torched and damaged for Native people, and they still need government control, right? They still need to be involved in it. Okay, make sure we have control. So then whatever happens there, we can be okay as a people, right? Like we'll be taken care of, we'll be looked after. The legacy of the Kanaka Maoli will still continue, and then we can continue to get back onto the land to revitalize our sacred spots, you know, our sacred sites. Yeah. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like
other workings going on that are far beyond my scope of understanding when I'm mentioning this stuff. That's why I don't want to speak too much on it. But there is a place for us at the table as Native people. So now that example that I'm bringing is meant for everybody that also feels this call, that also sees it as a spiritual war, also as a thing that's again. Look at the sacred sites of the places that you're at too, and where they come from, and who was there. Doesn't mean that's the only thing, because you're there now. How do we revitalize that within ourselves? How do we continue that?
I love that you're focusing on that, man. You know, and it makes sense. Like every time we talk about this stuff, whenever we're in each other's space, you're always talking about contracts. Like, don't ever sign contracts. And it's these systems are trying to take our land, and so I love that you're focusing on that layer. You know, I'm sure most there aren't now. You know, they're kind of focused on the survival and what's needed in the moment. And so good for you for you know, taking that into consideration and working towards that.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, the contractual agreement is a big one. You know, I do not consent.
I do not consent.
I do not consent. Just saying it out loud too is very helpful. You know, and it's confusing for people too, because like even in a simple like personal interaction, someone will be like, you know, you're like this, you did this, and blah blah blah, whatever. I'm like, I don't know where that's coming from. I do not consent. Do not consent. What do you mean you don't consent? Like, no, I don't subscribe to that. I mean, I hear you. I understand what's happening, and I hear you. But also,
I want
there's
no
other
part
thing, more
of
important things going on right now that we need to get in alignment with. You know, and the contractual agreement too with land and everything. It's the same thing with like just being dispossessed, right? So that's a big one here. So just to take a little jaunt into the grief in the heart. When we see people's being displaced and dispossessed of their land, that's not just something that's just happening in physical, right? It's a very deep spiritual connection that happens. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to relate when, if you've lived a certain way that's like, oh, this is just how it is, right? Without questioning. It's just, this is just how it is. Like when people come to visit Hawaii, it's like, oh, it's so beautiful. I love this place. It's the heart chakra of the world. It's all these really beautiful, amazing things. I feel so at home here. There's a reason, because there's a people that lived there that felt that same way too. And they interwoven and injected themselves, married themselves into the land, into the ocean, that you can feel that. So if that's the case, right, and that's the feeling that you have, where else can you find it? Not just in Hawaii. There's other places too. That's the spiritual contract, I believe. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you feel it that way and like, okay, you're attaching it to, I don't know, Lemuria or your astrology chart or your human design. I don't know. I'm just saying, if that is the point of contact, but you're not here in Hawaii, but you always have that feeling, where else is it? Even in the mundane things of your life, how do you find that longing and that yearning to belong? It's like, that's the spiritual contract I would sign. Like, show me that. Like, show me that right there. Show me how to be in love with nature and be in the spell of the sensuous and all of that. I think that awakening is more important now than ever.
Man, yeah, and I've actually heard people say they're in Hawaii that there's right now there's two Hawaiis. There's the tourists going to just going to the beach and like hanging out and just like nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And then there's the locals where they're like, this is a disaster place. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like in the emotion of it, but it's awareness, man. It's embodiment awareness. It's a spiritual game, and if you can't feel those layers, then there's some work that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
Most are cut off at the neck, and we're disconnected from ourselves.
Yeah.
And this is time to reconnect.
It is time to reconnect. You're not just brains on a stick. Yeah. Like brains are wonderful. But they're not very good masters. As in some ways we could say, right? Oh, you've got the monkey brain, the lizard brain. It's like, how many brains, are going on in here? You got ego, super ego, id, like conscious, unconscious. Like, one of the good ways that I found for us to connect more deeply to our bodies and all of that is to not just think of everything up here. Think everything in here. And by doing so, you start to change your language. Now it's like heart mind.
Dude, there's
body
science.
mind.
There's science behind this. There's more neural pathways that connect in the gut than it does in the brain. So you actually have more memory storage in your body than you do up here. Like, why are we using this piece of junk?
Yeah. I mean, it's
there to help us survive.
Yeah, mediate. Translate. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's just like you and I. It's just like, when I'm talking to you, I'm not like, oh, I'm talking to another brain.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at this. Right now you're a face on a screen, but I know you personally. We've hugged each other. We've been in lodge together. We've seen each other cry. We've held each other cry. We made each other cry. Like, we made each other laugh. Like so in that way, it's like, I'm not just channeling, information for people. I'm trying to show them a connection that I have through this screen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, enough so that I could really be myself and not be so concerned. Like, before this call, I was up with Martina and we're like researching all this stuff because I wanted to get, the numbers right. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to be sure, like, if I was going to say something, to people, I just want to make sure I'm coming correct, And as I was doing it, I was like, wow, this is far deeper than any one person can go. So if there's any ask I have of the people watching this today, or later on, if they watch the recording, please do your best to inform yourself on what's going on in your own homelands too. Don't just focus on what's happening to us. Bring it through for you too, wherever you're at. Tap into yourself more deeply. Come into alignment with your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions. You know, simple things like that. So then that way, when that alignment happens and that integrity is really there, not that we don't make mistakes, not that we are like we're imperfect, we're people, but if you can really spot that thing for yourself, and you can do that, then the united effort globally happens. It'll happen, and it won't be, you know, again, the revolution won't be televised as people would say, you know, that this prophetic saying. No, it won't be. It's going to happen in individual hearts that add to collective consciousness over and over and over. So like I was saying, inform yourself. We gotta be artists in our life, and we gotta got like, you know, 10, 15 tools on our belt, not just two. We gotta be multifaceted, omnidirectional human beings. So it's like, if you can do that, please learn the history of your places. Please learn the history of yourself. You know, learn about your parents and where they came from and your grandparents. Learn what's happening.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to stop there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kale, brother. Truly, man. My heart is with you there. My heart is in Maui right now.
Thank you, man.
Feeling everybody's place where they're at, their pain, their discomfort, their challenges, and I'm sending my love to you guys. But I also want to give a call to action to everyone watching. Please go to the link in my bio, or go to Kale's link, or his website, or his webpage there on Instagram, and donate. Send in some money, some resources to help support. It's for food. It's for, they're going to be, creating some housing too, and see if that's a viable solution, a viable option for the short term.
Yeah.
And if it's not that, reach out. Reach out to Kale and say, yo, brother, thank you for doing what you're doing. Because that energy exchange is a way to provide support. It's a way to give him actual physical energy to keep moving forward and keep doing what he's doing there.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kale. I really appreciate you and love you.
Yeah. I have one more little bit. Just for people too, you know, you can go to and donate directly to me or to the GoFundMe, which is good. But also go to Lahaina _Ohana _Venmo. And there's families there and that have their Venmo.
Say that again. It was Lahaina?
Lahaina _Ohana OHANA _Venmo. That's like direct to families that lost their homes. So that one's a good one. And then there's also Maui Prep, which you could sponsor a student.
Perfect.
Yeah. So those are important ones for people to look at. Pick a family, pick a student. You know, that's the best way. Don't donate to Red Cross. Don't donate to any of those large organizations, because our people are never going to see that money.
I've done the research. They only provide 10% of whatever money comes in. So the 90% they keep.
Right. There you go.
What the heck? Yeah. So yeah, go directly to the sources here for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, so prayers up to everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you, my brother, for hosting this. And, you know, here we go. We're going to get into, you know, this revitalization of you know, the native ways. So thank you, bro.
All right. Love you, brother.
Love you, man.
See you guys later. Peace out.
Hello. Bye-bye.